Well guys, it is first of the year and winter has finally arrived. After a December that seemed more like May weather than actual December, we finally got some cold weather. So at least we're not beginning the year off sweating like we ended the year. So anyway, holidays are over with. It is time to get started on our winter projects. And we got one project we've got to get done before we start hauling soybeans. We got to get our sprayer ready to go. Our sprayer is going to be the first thing we use this year. Probably, most likely sometime here in January. Got to put fertilizer on the wheat. Don't really know when we're going to get that window to put fertilizer on the wheat, when it'll be dry enough and whatnot. So we're going to go ahead and get the sprayer serviced and ready to go to the field. So that way, when it's go time, when you just hop in it and go right to the field. Anyway, we don't have anything actually broke on the sprayer. Everything's still in real good mechanical order. Zach's working on getting the fluids changed, filters changed, just getting it serviced. After 1 year of using this sprayer, you know, we all absolutely love these R series sprayers, but there's one thing that I really don't like about these sprayers. And what we don't like is the quality of the paint on the booms. As you can see, it's just chipping off. It is not good quality paint. And you know, we already got some rust starting, and this is the life of the booms. You know, other than hitting trees or power poles with them, the life of the booms is keeping them from cracking, keeping them in good shape, and rust on them will definitely shorten the life. So this sprayer's only been used 4 years, and the paint's already in bad shape. And when we actually bought this sprayer last year, it was in a lot worse shape. And Zach spent several days on here with grinding wheels, sandpaper, whatever, getting a lot of these rusty spots, trying to get it back down to bare metal, and then repainting it with some John Deere paint. And as you can see, it just didn't last. He's got too many little sharp edges like that right there. You know, places you really can't get into to sand down smooth. You got a lot of places like that scattered across this boom, and really the only proper way to prep it for paint is to get a sand blaster. So that's what we're going to do this year, is use a sand blaster to, we're not going to strip the entire boom of paint, just the places where the paint is coming off, bubbling up, whatever. And then we're going to get some good quality automotive paint and primer, put the primer on, then the paint, and then I think I'm going to go back with a clear coat, because that rattle can stuff from John Deere just ain't cutting it. You can see this spot right here where Zach prepped it last year. See, it's already, even on the flat spot, it's starting to bubble up. And then when we pressure washed it, you can see the line of the paint where it just peeled it off. There's that little bit of yellow in there, right there. That was primer. I mean, the pressure washer just took it right off. So we're gonna put some high quality paint on here and go and try a clear coat, and hopefully that seals it up enough to where these chemicals and fertilizer we put out with a sprayer, hopefully it won't harm the paint, and this paint job will last a whole lot longer than what the factory paint job did anyway. All right, I got a little Harbor Freight sandblaster here that I've never had much luck with. It always wants to clump up in the bottom and just can't get good consistent flow of the media out of there. So this year I decided I was going to rent a sandblaster. Went by this morning and picked it up and immediately saw a problem. Here's the sandblasting hose on it, and here's the nozzle on it. As you imagine, that's not going to be real good for getting into tight places. Plus, with that size hose, I mean, we've got a 2-stage, 3-phase air compressor, 175 psi, is capable of 20 cubic feet per minute. But after doing some research, these types of sandblasters right here need like close to 100 cubic feet per minute with this size hose. So this right setup's not going to work with our air supply. So what I'm going to do is rig up some adapter fittings and take the air hose off my little Harbor Freight sandblaster and hook it up to there, and then hopefully that will work with my air system. And with this good sandblaster having a good meter here on the bottom, we'll get good consistent flow of the media. Plus it's got my hose has got a lot finer nozzle in order to be able to get like in the tight places and stuff like that. Don't know if this is gonna work. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. But anyway, I'm going to take these hoses off and get some adapters and some bushings and some reducers and everything rigged up. And once I got all that done, I'll bring you back then and see if we can get started blasting some paint. All right, here we are a day later. As you can see, there's still paint on the booms. Sometimes a man just got to know when to admit defeat, and I'm admitting defeat. And all yesterday afternoon, what you see here is what I was able to get accomplished, and I got that done with this little pot blaster. We just do not have the air power to run the big blaster. We literally didn't get anything blasted with it yesterday. Messed around all day trying to put on smaller hoses and adjusting different things and trying different stuff, and we just could not make it work. So then I turned my attention to that, and the problems that have always plagued me on it, stopping up tips and inconsistent flow and everything else, just kept on giving me problems. So I decided I'm gonna turn it over to the professionals. And after looking the boom over even more closely, I mean, really, this entire boom needs to be sandblasted, not just spot blasting like I was planning on. The entire boom needs to be sandblasted and painted and have some clear coat on it. So if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right. So now I'm gonna turn this thing over to the professionals. But before I do that, all of this plumbing and electronics and everything has got to come off. So that's going to be our project today, is getting the booms completely stripped of all the hoses and everything. And it's not going to be that bad to take it off. This stuff mounts pretty easy. What I'm concerned about is when it goes to getting it put back on and getting all these electrical connections right, getting everything routed just right, all the plumbing, the hoses and everything, making sure it doesn't have any leaks, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of what's got me concerned, but I think we'll be able to do it. Just take a little bit of time. So starting out, what we're going to do, we're going to take our label maker and we're going to label each part and exactly where it goes, so there's going to be no confusion. Hopefully there's not going to be any confusion when we go to putting all this back on. All the electrical connections, we're going to label them where they go, and all the boom parts and pieces, we're going to label them in the order that they come off and that they're going to come back on. So like what I figured is, I'll get the label maker, I'll start labeling stuff, get that little die grinder and these brackets right here, just get that little die grinder and make a little notch on each side so we know exactly where to place them to keep the spacing just right whenever we go back with it. Because I think all we're going to do is just pull this one bolt, and the pipe and brackets and everything are just going to pivot out of there. Yeah. And we're not going to have to slide these or move these at all.
Make a mark, just make a mark on each end where we know where to.
Yeah, just well, like right here, just take that little die grinder and make just a little notch right there in the top on each end, and we know it goes right in there.
Okay.
Making a video of how all this stuff goes. All right, we're going to start off on the end of the boom, right hand side, starting out with number 1, then labeling everything going towards the center of the boom, number system up. All right, we got everything labeled here, all electrical connections and everything, so hopefully we know how to put everything back whenever we do get to putting this thing back. So now we're ready to start taking stuff off. Alright, there we go. One side is completely stripped off. It's going to be like a jigsaw puzzle going back. So we got a nice naked boom now. Now the trick's going to be seeing if this thing folds up, because we got sensors unplugged. Hopefully it won't throw any codes. And Zach shaking his head. Well, guess we're going to call Tennessee Tractor to see what they advise. Alright, Mechanics Tennessee Tractor told me about a trick about going through the calibration procedures for the fold to be able to trick it to fold in without the sensors being hooked up. So, got it turned around. Do the same thing to this side that we did to the other side. Getting close to dark, we'll get as much done on as we can. Alright, I say that's a good place to stop. Successfully got the hoses disconnected. We lost daylight and we lost heat too. It's gotten a little bit nipply out here.
Glad I had these coveralls in my car.
Yeah, I think I'm going to find mine tomorrow. All right, well, I reckon we're gonna call it a day and be back out here early tomorrow morning and see if we can get this sprayer wrapped up. Now here we are, another beautiful morning on the farm. It actually feels just a little bit warmer this morning than we did when we quit last night, but after 30 minutes out here I might be seeing differently. But anyway, we made a heck of a dent on this sprayer boom yesterday, and I'd say maybe another 2.5 hours we'll have this boom completely stripped and ready for the sandblaster. So don't really know when that'll happen, but all we can do is control our part. So we'll go ahead and get our part done on this. All right, well, there we go. Got the second boom completely stripped down. Now I reckon we're just waiting on the sandblaster to either let us know either to carry it over there to him, or if he's going to come out here and sandblast it here on site. He hadn't decided that yet, so hopefully hear back something from him soon and we can keep this project rolling. But in the meantime today, got a couple other things got to do. We're going to get Zach started hauling soybeans, and I've got a surprise to go pick up, so I'll bring you back here in a little while. All right, in the making of this video, I found out that apparently I forgot to hit record on my camera for the opening clip of the next sequence in this video, so the rest of the video is not going to make much sense without a little bit of explanation. So this isn't the way I planned it, but anyway, we're going to have to make do. But anyway, you know, I discussed in earlier videos that we don't have any major purchases this year, trying to save our money because of high input prices or whatever, but We did have one equipment purchase this year. It wasn't a big ticket item, wasn't a sprayer, combine, tractor, or anything like that, but it was a very needed piece of equipment. After the end of the harvest, I started looking at this piece of equipment and thought it might be a good time to buy new, and what we're looking at replacing was our hooded sprayer. The one we got, it's still functional, but it's got a lot of metal fatigue in the frame or whatever, and I thought this would be a good opportunity. We had a little bit of excess cash, it'd be a good opportunity to go ahead and upgrade to a new one rather than having to sink a lot of money into hoods and rebuilding ours and dealing with frame cracks and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, whenever I priced a new one, it came in at almost twice the cost of what I thought it was going to be, and I was estimating it to be high, and it came in at almost twice the cost, and there was no way that I could justify spending that much money on a simple hooded sprayer. So anyway, I put that at the back of my mind and said, well, we'll move on and just deal with what we got. Well, anyway, a few days later, after I got that bid from the manufacturer for a new hooded sprayer, Zach was on Southern Farming Classifieds and happened to see a neighbor of ours down the road, well, actually on the other side of town. He had exactly the thing that I was looking at, and he was selling it on Southern Farming Classifieds. And here's the kicker. The hooded sprayer that he was selling was about 10 years old, but it had never been used before. They had traded for it about 10 years ago, and then about that time changed practices and really never pulled it out of the shed. So it's been sitting inside of an enclosed shop for the last 10 years. Hadn't seen any dust or anything. Brand new condition, perfect shape. But his asking price on it was about 25% of what I priced a brand new one at. So needless to say, I'd been a fool to not jump all over that deal. So anyway, contacted him, and I wound up buying it without even looking at it, because he had two of them for sale, and as soon as I called him about it, he said the other one had just sold. So I bought it sight unseen. Of course, I knew what I was looking at because I'd been looking into him and researching, but same exact brand, same exact brand model, and all the options I wanted except for one. So anyway, the rest of this video will deal with us going and picking it up. So hopefully this video will make a little bit more sense now. All right, we made it over here. We got two huge farming operations side by side. And the one we're going to is right here. Oh, looks like they're out here loading soybeans. Ooh, he got an electric tarp. I bet Zach liked to have one of those. Anyway, we're over here at Griggs Farms. Well, they got a really impressive operation over here. Got two nice baler pickers, 3 S-Series combines, really nice grain system over here. Really impressive operation. 2 sprayers. Anyway, this right here, this is what we're looking for. Got these 2 hooded sprayers side by side, and I bought the first one here. That's what we're going to pick up and take to the house. All right, here we go. Give you a close-up look at the one I just bought. Anyway, what we got here is a Wilmar Manufacturing model 915 hooded sprayer, 12-row sprayer on 38-inch rows. Got a little bit different style hoods than what my old one is. They don't even make the style hoods of what my old one is. Supposed to give a little bit better coverage, controlling weeds up under the hood. Anyway, so like I said, this one has never been used. In fact, it's still got the original plastic on it, covering up the covering up the spray monitors. And the hydraulic hose is still wrapped up just like it came from the factory. Even though this thing's 10 years old, it's been stored indoors all its life and looks just like it did when it came off the factory floor, with the exception of it's got a nice layer of dust all across it. But anyway, key differences between my old one and this one is that this one's got a 300-gallon tank, whereas mine's got a 200-gallon tank, so longer time on the road. And then a big thing, if you notice, the top toolbar when it's folded up is not as tall as what my other one is. And that's pretty important, because taking this thing as wide as it is down country roads is nerve-wracking, and I always got to worry about low-hanging limbs, low-hanging power lines I might not catch, and those toolbars snagging it as I go under it, and then either damaging my sprayer, making my front end come off the ground, lose control, whatnot. A lot of bad things that can happen I'm always worried about. So I like the idea that the top toolbar is shorter. It's really only a few inches above cab height, so clearance issues getting down the road is not a problem. What I don't like about it though is on my other one, the top toolbar was about even with the bottom toolbar, and as you can see, this sticks out probably another 2.5 feet on each end. So I had to make some sacrifices in design to get a lower height. The arms are configured differently, and the top toolbar sticks out farther, which, bringing it back, I found out that could be a problem quick. I caught a couple of road signs, and then there was a few places in the road where you got tall trees on each side, and I had maybe a foot to spare on either side of the toolbar getting it through. I don't know, I think I would prefer to have it taller and narrower, and then I can drop the hitch down going down the road and clear some of those obstacles, as opposed to having it wider. I do think I can shorten up the blocks on the hydraulic cylinders, because you see these arms, they still got a little bit more room to fold back closer to the tank. If we do that, it'll get that outside edge in a little bit more. So this spring probably gonna play around with it and shorten up those blocks, see if we can bring those arms in just a little bit more to where it's not quite as wide. I mean, heck, if we can bring it in a foot on either side, that would be pretty big. Anyway, I'll give you a little bit better rundown of it to this spray when we actually get it out in the field doing our burn down strips. You know, we got to modify it to put some drop tips right here in between the hoods to be able to burn down a strip of cover crop in between the hoods that we will then plant into, just like we done the last few years. So we'll get into that later on this spring. So for now, you know, we got a winter storm coming in tomorrow, so I'm gonna go ahead and park this thing under the shed where it'll sit for the next couple months until we get to work on it. So I reckon that's gonna be it for now until we get word from the sandblaster what he wants to do to our sprayer, and I'll bring you back then.